Hey folks, it's Brian again with my latest installment of my review of the RuneQuest role-playing in Glorantha manuscript. This section is on the Rune Lord. It mentions at the beginning that some cults have Rune Lords. In fact, many do not. I thought that was interesting. But that a Rune Lord is an incarnation of the deity's principles. What are the requirements to become a Rune Lord? First, you have to be initiate in good standing for 5 years. No issues there. You have to have one or more rune affinities with your cult, your deity, at 90%. Here's something new though. Your loyalty to temple or your devotion to deity has to be at 90% for a Rune Lord, vice the 50% for a Rune Priest. Their charisma needs to be at 18 or higher rather than their power for a priest being 18 or higher. And then another change, they need 90% or higher in 5 cult skills, usually 2 of which are martial. So that's a higher requirement than the priest. There's more indications of this disparity or dispersion, not disparity, disparity between Rune Priests and Rune Lords for RQG versus RQ2 or 3. Benefits, they're same as an initiate, plus they get other stuff just like a priest. Divine intervention, and we mentioned before that the Rune Lord rule is always answered. First off, it's always answered. And then they roll a d10 for how much not current, unused rune points / power has to be sacrificed to that answer. Rune Lords, like Rune Priests, also have an easier way to replenish their rune points by leading in holy days and other sacrifices. Rune Lords, like Rune Priests, have access to enchantment spells and, quote, as well as to special rune magic known by the cult, its subcults, and associate cults. And I've been thinking about this because initiates have access to, well, they do their first sacrifice of their rune point, they have access to all the common spells, right? Everybody's got common spells. So what other spells do they sacrifice rune points for? It's got to be special cult rune magic, right? So maybe the Rune Lord, Rune Priest simply adds in the subcults and associated cults, so initiates can't sacrifice for those special rune spells. I'm not sure. I'm going to do some more reading again on that. I did do some reviewing on initiates and priests and stuff, and I'll do an addendum covering that to help clarify some of those issues I was running across. Rune Lords, like Rune Priests, also get an opportunity to persuade an allied spirit. They do add for a Rune Lord that could be a weapon. For a Rune Priest, it was an animal or an object. For a Rune Lord, it's a weapon, animal or object. Although I would say a weapon is an object. But, you know, whatever. And again, this allied spirit is initiate. It can sacrifice rune points. It has that mind-to-mind communication. And the Rune Lord and the allied spirit can use each other's magic and that kind of, and senses, that kind of thing. A difference, though, between a priest's allied spirit and a Rune Lord's allied spirit is the power of the spirit. They both have intelligence of 2d6 plus 6. They both have a charisma of 3d6. But a Rune Priest's spirit's power is 3d6, and a Rune Lord's allied spirit's power is 3d6 plus 6. The chance to persuade is the same. Power plus intelligence divided by 2 of the spirit versus power plus charisma divided by 2 for the Rune Lord. And again, it's on the resistance table. And if you missed, you can again try each year on, well, just as once per year. I'm assuming on sacred time. Rune Lord does have support of his cult. However, this is different, slightly different. Well, maybe not so slight. Because it specifically says that a Rune Lord is the manifestation of the deity. And so the temple will provide the finest gear, the finest clothing, the finest decorations, the finest accommodation. I'm adding finest in on everything. They just did it once in the book. Mounts, etc. You know, the finest, because they're the manifestation of deity. So another point of raising the Rune Lord way above the Rune Priest. A cult will always ransom their Rune Lords. And being a Rune Lord, by virtue of being a Rune Lord, they become a member of the local nobility. Another thing new for rune lords is the use of rune metals. Larger and older cults may have iron or other runic metal weapons or armor available to just grant the rune lord during his initiation, isn't the right word, but during his, lording. I don't know. There's a word for it. I just don't remember what it is. If your cult is smaller or newer, they probably don't have rune magic or rune metals available, and so you may have to go quest for that kind of stuff, but then they will enchant it for you. Okay, another new thing. Rune lords have improved resistance to magic. They resist at species maximum. Doesn't matter what their current power is. That's handy. Another benefit, spell teaching. Again, that's same as rune priest, where you have to do so much for free and then you can charge after that. Again, additional training experience. They get 1 point of cult spirit magic during sacred time, and they get free training in all cult skills. I think that was the same with priests. Duties and restrictions. A rune lord is accountable to his cult, making him essentially at his beck and call. I thought that was interesting. They can send him on quests. They can send him to avenge crimes. They can send him on, him or her, on diplomatic or economic missions. Again, a rune lord must give 9/10, rather 90%, of their income to the temple, and on cult holy days they need to sacrifice 2 magic coins, just like a rune priest. There's a section on rune lord priest. Now, it used to be in Runequest 2, and I believe 3. Now, you could become a rune lord priest through either venue. You could be a rune lord and then qualify for a priest, or you could be a rune priest and qualify for being a rune lord, and then you'd be a rune lord priest, right? And you get benefits from both ends. The way this is written for Runequest Glorantha is that you have to be a rune lord first, and then when your power gets up to 18 or higher, you can then become additionally a priest. And part of that is the fact that qualifying for being a rune lord, you're already meeting or exceeding all of the requirements for a rune priest. But they don't talk anything about the other way, being a rune priest and getting up to the rune lord level. So I'm not sure how I'm going to take that. And it specifies that a rune lord cannot become a rune priest of another cult. On the surface, that makes perfectly good sense, but then you have to ask the question of, what about subcults? Or maybe even associate cults? Why not? Especially subcults. I don't see an issue with being a priest of a subcult, but I don't know. Maybe as I read more, it'll make more sense. But here's something I got to share with you. Page 195 of the manuscript, Rune Lord Priests, paragraph 2. A rune lord serving as a rune priest. What does that really mean? I couldn't tell you. Cannot appeal for divine intervention as a rune lord, because if the god takes enough power from the rune lord priest, they would go below 18 power. This would mean that the rune lord priest is voluntarily reducing his maximum power below the minimum of 18 required for a rune priest, which they're forbidden to do. Yet, a rune priest requesting divine intervention, assuming it's successful, may also be required to sacrifice power knocking him below 18. So what's the deal here? No idea. None whatsoever. I just do not get that one at all. So I'm a rune lord and I can sacrifice and I can be, divine intervention is always, or I'm a rune priest and I can always sacrifice, but if I can both, I can't at all. It says acting as a rune priest. How do you act as a rune priest if you're both? Well, maybe on an adventure you decide, I'm going to request divine intervention, but I'm going to act as a rune lord, not as a rune priest for this request. So I'm going to roll my d10. I'm not going to roll percentile. What? Yeah, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Okay, chief and high priest, they go into some stuff about this. Obviously, no real physical differences. It's all flavor and perhaps role playing. A chief priest runs a minor temple. Chief priests are aides the high priests at greater temples. Chief priests are heads of major subordinate temples, meaning they have greater temples overseeing them. A high priest heads a major or great temple. And here's a question: what's the difference between running one and heading one? Only a chief priest or a high priest can perform the ban ritual like that. And if you are a chief or high priest for a cult that is dominant in the area, you are also part of the social or societal rulers. No issues there at all. Okay, how do you become a chief or a high priest? You have to either, one, take over a vacancy. However, most cults choose their next chief or high priest, so there may be some role play kind of thing in there. Or maybe even something else, a little assassination maybe. Or two, you can qualify to found your own temple. Sounds good. In order to do this, you must have 15 rune points, 90% and 3 cult knowledge skills. And founding your own temple often requires permission from the high priest.